Reality is Broken: Why Games Make Us Better and How They Can Change the World, Part 1, by Jane McGonigal, PhD. Gamers have had enough of reality. They are abandoning it in droves, a few hours here, an entire weekend there, sometimes every spare minute of every day for stretches at a time, in favor of simulated environments in online games. Maybe you are one of these gamers. If not, then you definitely know some of them. Who are they? They are the 9 to 5ers who come home and apply all of the smarts and talents that are underutilized at work to plan and coordinate complex raids and quests in massively multiplayer online games like Final Fantasy XI and the Lineage Worlds. They're the music lovers who have invested hundreds of dollars on plastic rock band and guitar hero instruments and spent night after night rehearsing in order to become virtuosos of video game performance. They're the World of Warcraft fans who are so intent on mastering the challenges of their favorite game that, collectively, they've written 250,000 wiki articles about the fictional universe, creating a wiki resource nearly 1/10 the size of the entire Wikipedia. They're the Brain Age and Mario Kart players who take handheld game consoles everywhere they go, sneaking in short puzzles, races, and mini games as often as possible, and as a result, nearly eliminating mental downtime from their lives. They're the United States troops stationed overseas who dedicate so many hours a week to burnishing Halo 3 in-game service record that earning virtual combat medals is widely known as the most popular activity for off-duty soldiers. They're the young adults in China who have spent so much play money or QQ coins on magical swords and other powerful game objects that the People's Bank of China intervened to prevent the devaluation of the yuan, China's real-world currency. Most of all, there are kids and teenagers worldwide who would rather spend hours in front of any computer game or video game than do anything else. These gamers aren't rejecting reality entirely. They have jobs, goals, schoolwork, families, commitments, and real lives that they care about. But as they devote more and more of their free time to game worlds, the real world increasingly feels like it's missing something. Gamers want to know, where in the real world is that gamer's sense of being fully alive, focused, and engaged in every moment? Where is the gamer feeling of power, heroic purpose, and community? Where are the bursts of expanding thrill of success and team victory? While gamers may experience these pleasures occasionally in their real lives, they experience them almost constantly when they're playing their favorite games. The real world just doesn't offer up as easily the carefully designed pleasures, the thrilling challenges, and the powerful social bonding afforded by virtual environments. Reality doesn't motivate us effectively. Reality isn't engineered to maximize our potential. Reality wasn't designed from the bottom up to make us happy. And so, there is a growing perception in the gaming community. Reality, compared to games, is broken. In fact, it is more than a perception, it's a phenomenon. Economist Edward Castronova calls it a mass exodus to game spaces, and you can see it already happening in the numbers. Hundreds of millions of people worldwide are opting out of reality for larger and larger chunks of time. In the United States alone, there are 183 million active gamers, individuals who in surveys report that they play the computer or video games regularly, on average 13 hours a week. Globally, the online gamer community, including console, PC, and mobile home gaming, counts more than 4 million gamers in the Middle East, 10 million in Russia, 105 million in India, 10 million in Vietnam, 10 million in Mexico, 13 million in Central and South America, 15 million in Australia, 17 million in South Korea, 100 million in Europe, and 200 million in China. Although a typical gamer plays for just an hour or two a day, there are now more than 6 million people in China who spend at least 22 hours a week gaming, the equivalent of a part-time job. More than 10 million hardcore gamers in the United Kingdom, France, and Germany spend at least 20 hours a week playing. And at the leading edge of this growth curve, more than 5 million extreme gamers in the United States play on the average of 45 hours a week. With all of this play, we have turned digital games for our computers, for our mobile phones, and for our home entertainment systems into what is expected to be a $68 billion industry annually by the year 2012. And we are creating a massive virtual silo of cognitive effort, emotional energy, and collective attention lavished on game worlds instead of the real world.
The ever skyrocketing amounts of time and money spent on games are being observed with alarm by some concerned parents, teachers, and politicians, and eagerness by others, the many technology industries that expect to profit greatly from the game boom. Meanwhile, they are met with bewilderment and disdain by more than a few non-gamers, who still make up nearly half the US population, although their numbers are rapidly decreasing. Many of them deem gaming a clear waste of time. As we make these value judgments, hold moral debates over the addictive quality of games, and simultaneously rush to achieve massive industry expansion, a vital point is being missed. The fact that so many people of all ages, all over the world, are choosing to spend so much time in game worlds is a sign of something important, a truth that we urgently need to recognize. The truth is this: in today's society, computer and video games are fulfilling genuine human needs that the real world is currently unable to satisfy. Games are providing rewards that reality is not. They are teaching and inspiring and engaging us in ways that reality is not. They are bringing us together in ways that reality is not. And unless something dramatic happens to reverse the resulting exodus, we're fast on our way to becoming a society in which a substantial portion of our population devotes its greatest efforts to playing games, creating its best memories in game environments, and experiences its best successes in game worlds. Maybe this sounds hard to believe. To a non gamer, this forecast might seem surreal or like science fiction. Are huge swaths of civilization really disappearing into game worlds? Are we really rushing headlong into a future where the majority of us use games to satisfy many of our most important needs? If so, it will not be the first time that such a mass exodus from reality to games has occurred. Indeed, the very first written history of human gameplay, Herodotus' Histories, the ancient Greek account, and the Persian Wars dating back more than 3,000 years, describes a nearly identical scenario. While the oldest known game is the ancient counting game Makala, evidence shows it was played during Egypt's Age of Empires, or the 15th to the 11th centuries BC. It will not. It was not until Herodotus that anyone thought to record the origins or cultural functions of these games. And from his ancient text, we can learn a great deal about what's happening today and what's almost certainly coming next. It's a bit counterintuitive to think about the future in terms of the past, but as a research director at the Institute for the Future, a nonprofit think tank in Palo Alto, California, and the world's oldest future forecasting organization, I've learned an important trick. To develop foresight, you need to practice hindsight. Technologies, cultures, and climates may change, but our basic human needs and desires to survive, to care for our families, and to lead happy, purposeful lives remain the same. So at IFTF, we like to say, to understand the future, you have to look back at least twice as far as you're looking ahead. Fortunately, when it comes to games, we can look even farther back than that. Games have been a fundamental part of human civilization for thousands of years. In the opening book of the Histories, Herodotus writes, when Attis was king of Lydia in Asia Minor some 3,000 years ago, a great scarcity threatened his realm. For a while, people accepted their lot without complaining, in the hope that times of plenty would return. But when things failed to get better, the Lydians devised a strange remedy for their problem. They adopted against the famine. I'm sorry. The plan adopted against the famine was to engage in games one day so entirely as not to feel any craving for food, and the next day to eat and abstain from games. In this way, they passed 18 years, and along the way, they invented the dice, knucklebones, the ball, and all the games which are common. What do ancient dice made from sheep's knuckles have to do with the future of computer and video games? More than you might expect. Herodotus invented history as we know it, and he has described the goal of history as uncovering moral problems and moral truths in the concrete data of experience. Whether Herodotus' story of an 18-year famine survived through gameplay is true, or, as some modern historians believe, apocryphal, its moral truth reveal something important about the essence of games. We often think of immersive gameplay as escapists, a kind of passive retreat from reality. But through the lens of Herodotus' story, we can see how games could be a purposeful escape, a thoughtful and active escape, and most importantly, an extremely helpful escape. For the Lydians, playing together as a nearly full-time activity would have been a behavior highly adaptive to difficult conditions. Games made life bearable. Games gave a starving population a feeling of power in a powerless situation, a sense of structure in a chaotic environment. Games gave them a better way to live when their circumstances were otherwise completely unsupportive and uninhabitable. Make no mistake, we are no different from the ancient Lydians. Today, many of us are suffering from a vast and primal hunger. But it's not a hunger for food. It's a hunger for more and better engagement from the world around us. Like the ancient Lydians, many gamers have already figured out how to use the immersive power of play to distract themselves from their hunger. A hunger for more satisfying work, for a stronger sense of community, and for a more engaging and meaningful life. Collectively, the planet is now spending more than 3 billion hours a week gaming. We are starving, and our games are feeding us.